Have you ever wondered what the world was like before us? I'm not just talking about dinosaurs, but creatures so bizarre, so alien-like, that they seem like something straight out of a science fiction movie. Today, we're diving deep into the prehistoric past to uncover the strangest extinct creatures ever found. Get ready, because evolution got really weird. Our journey begins over 500 million years ago, in a period called the Cambrian explosion. Life was experimenting, to say the least. Imagine a tiny, worm-like creature walking on stilts. That's Hallucigenia for you. When scientists first discovered its fossil, they were completely baffled. It had these long, sharp spines, which they initially thought were its legs, and a series of tentacles on its back, which they thought were for feeding. It was so confusing they named it Hallucigenia because it seemed like a hallucination. It took decades and better preserved fossils for us to finally flip it over. Those spines? They were for defense, pointing upwards. And those tentacles on its back? They were actually pairs of legs, or lobopeds, with tiny claws at the end that it used to scuttle on the seafloor. Even its head was a mystery for a long time. It was just a blob. We now know it had a simple head with a pair of eyes and a mouth. Still, can you picture this little armored, spiky worm ambling through ancient oceans? It's a perfect example of how nature tries out all sorts of body plans, and not all of them stick around. But Hallucigenia wasn't the only oddball in the Cambrian Sea. Let's meet its neighbor, Opabinia. If you thought Hallucigenia was strange, Opabinia takes it to a whole new level. Imagine a soft-bodied creature swimming along with flaps on the side of its body. Now, give it 5 eyes on stalks, looking in all directions. 5, not 2, not 4, but 5. It's like a built-in 360-degree security system. And that's not even the weirdest part. Sticking out from the front of its head was a long, flexible proboscis, almost like an elephant's trunk, but it ended in a claw. A claw! Scientists believe Opabinia used this bizarre appendage to grab food from the seafloor and bring it to its mouth, which was located underneath its head, facing backward. When the first reconstruction of Opabinia was presented at a scientific meeting, the audience burst out laughing. They thought it was a joke, but it was real. This 5-eyed, trunk-clawed swimmer was a genuine predator of its time. It is a humbling reminder that our modern idea of what an animal should look like is just one possibility among countless others that have existed throughout Earth's history. Let's fast forward a bit, about 140 million years, to the Devonian period, often called the Age of Fishes. But these weren't your friendly neighborhood goldfish. This was the era of giants, and the apex predator of the ocean was Dunkleosteus. This thing was a monster. We're talking about a heavily armored fish that could grow up to 30 feet long, the size of a school bus. Its head and the front of its body were covered in thick, bony plates, making it a living tank. But the most terrifying feature of Dunkleosteus wasn't its size. It was its mouth. It didn't have teeth. Instead, it had massive, razor-sharp bony plates that formed a self-sharpening beak. These plates could slice and crush just about anything. And its bite force was incredible, one of the most powerful of any animal, ever. It could snap other armored fish in half. Think of it as a giant, swimming guillotine. Dunkleosteus was so dominant that it ruled the oceans for millions of years. It's a brutal, yet fascinating, example of how evolution can create the ultimate killing machine without a single tooth. Now let's get even stranger. Ever heard of a terror bird? The name says it all. These were a group of carnivorous, flightless birds called forusrhacids that roamed South America after the dinosaurs went extinct. The largest among them, Kalenkin, stood nearly 10 feet tall. They were the top predators of their environment. Forget about majestic eagles. Imagine a giant, angry ostrich with the head of a hawk and a beak strong enough to crush bone. They used their powerful legs to chase down prey and then delivered devastating blows with their massive, hooked beaks. They were fast, they were huge, and they were utterly terrifying. They are a stark reminder that birds are the living descendants of dinosaurs, and for a while, they reclaimed their spot at the top of the food chain. Moving back to the water, but to a more recent time, let's talk about Helicoprion, the buzzsaw shark. This prehistoric shark is famous for one incredibly strange feature: its teeth. Instead of having rows of teeth that fall out and get replaced like modern sharks, Helicoprion's teeth grew in a spiral whorl. Imagine a circular saw blade made of teeth, located in its lower jaw. For over a century, scientists were completely stumped about where this tooth whorl was located. Some thought it was on its nose, some on its tail fin. It wasn't until CT scans of fossils were made that we finally figured it out. The spiral of teeth was tucked inside its lower jaw, with the newest, sharpest teeth rotating into position at the front. It's thought that when it closed its mouth, the whorl would rotate backward, slicing through soft-bodied prey like squid. It's one of the most unique and efficient feeding mechanisms the natural world has ever produced. A shark with a built-in buzzsaw evolution. You've done it again. And what about life on land? Let's meet Dinotherium, a prehistoric relative of the elephant. At first glance, it looks somewhat familiar: large body, trunk-like nose. But then you look at its tusks. Instead of curving upwards and outwards, like a modern elephant or a mammoth, Dinotherium's tusks grew from its lower jaw and curved downwards and backwards. What on earth were they for? The debate is still ongoing. Some paleontologists think they were used to pull down branches to eat leaves, hooking them over the branch and yanking. Others suggest they were used for digging up roots or stripping bark from trees. They might even have been used for display or fighting rivals. Whatever their purpose, these chin tusks make Dinotherium one of the most peculiar-looking mammals to have ever walked the earth. Each of these creatures, Hallucigenia, Opabinia, Dunkleosteus, the terror birds, Helicoprion, and Dinotherium, tells a story. They are not just evolutionary dead ends. They are windows into past worlds, each with its own unique set of rules and inhabitants. They show us that life is incredibly creative, constantly experimenting with new forms and functions. The world we see today is just a snapshot in a 4-billion-year-long epic of trial and error. These bizarre animals push the boundaries of our imagination and remind us that the history of life on our planet is far stranger and more wonderful than we could ever invent. So, the next time you think about prehistoric life, don't just picture a T-Rex. Picture a 5-eyed swimming creature with a claw trunk, or a spiky worm walking on stilts. The real story of life is filled with these incredible oddities, and we are only just beginning to uncover their secrets. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into the weird and wonderful past. What's the strangest extinct creature you've ever heard of? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video and want to explore more incredible stories from the natural world, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.